We
I
get
think it sounds fun.
when we eventually get to interviews, that's something one of the questions I'd like when we have writers on is I'd like to talk to them about AWP. And I'm thinking I may paywall those sections of it just be so we can talk candidly about it and people won't
Got to.
get mad at them. But people still get mad at them, but just to protect the guests a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. I mean,
The thing I find
what are they
fascinated,
gonna do? What's AWP gonna do? Not let us pay to go to their conference?
well, it's not like AWP, dude. It's the mob. It's the social media. It's the literati, dude. The literati. The people that the literature inquisition.
Yeah.
But more so the AWP thing, I want to ask guests that just because it's such a strange phenomenon to me. Like every writer I talk to, every single aspiring writer, established writer, tweets, posts on social media all the time about how much they hate AWP.
You didn't meet anyone in my program.
Yeah,
They
but
were hyped for AWP and they still are. Got an email from them being like, who's a nerd and who's going?
yeah. The thing is that those are not like I just it's just incredible to me that like everybody just doesn't like this conference, but then also like pretends they love it.
Well, what are you doing if you're not going? Are you a writer if you didn't go?
Sure.
You know?
And it's
Or
that's well
what
that's
connections did you miss out on? Are you gonna go to some cool party with a bunch of famous literary figures?
well the thing is with that is that it is very much literary. Like it is not you're not going to have major publishing houses there.
Yeah,
They
you're
don't
also
go.
probably not hanging out with those major literary people if you're just someone who's going, right? Like if you're not with a program that already has like strong connections, like with faculty who have a lot of writer friends who are like, you know, well known. Those are going to be the people that you meet at AWP at some bar, or you might run into whomever at whatever reading, but like I just like can't get over this feeling of what is really the expectation of that conference? Like, is it to get all of the most, is it like thought leadership kind of, not leadership, but like just
It's basically just a book fair, man.
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but they like sort of identify those sort of separately. There's the book fair and then there's all of the events.
Yeah, and the events are pretty much just standard conference events. I mean, it's just a conference. You know, there's nothing like inherently terrible or anything about it. But yeah, it is. I'm fascinating because whenever like you said, I guess there are a lot of people that think it's great, but almost everyone I talk to, including established writers, like always dread it and then talk about how much they dislike it and then like go to it every year.
Yeah, I don't know why you put yourself through that unless like you have really good cause. Like if you know you're gonna like meet someone, like if you're planning, you know, if you have an arrangement to like meet somebody who like could get you anywhere in the field, or if you're like meeting up with, friends that you only see once a year at AWP, which I think is probably a lot of the pull for a lot of these other writers, that plus you get a week off of school like, where you get to cancel your classes and say we're going to AWP, that's covered.
Yeah, I'll say this too, like that idea that this conference is there to help writers is false. Like it's
Yeah,
not
that's what I mean.
there to help young writers. It's just a showcase and a book. Yeah, like it's literally just kind of a showcase of the contemporary big names. Few panels that you could find interesting or not, but I mean, I find in my field, the English field, I have a hard time going to conferences anyway, just because the panels are so boring.
It would be
Um,
interesting to see how many like writers get, like some substantial book sales that occur. specifically at AWP.
Well, only if you're already an established name. Or I
That's what
guess
I
if you're
assume.
a journal, you could probably sell some copies that you wouldn't otherwise. Uh, but I'm always amazed at well, it's kind of the big lie, and this goes into like the writing community too, wherever, hashtag writing community, where I still maintain that that doesn't really exist. It's
Well, that's just not a fucking thing. Like, oh, if you're a writer, you're part of this like writing community. Like that's just
well, I
probably
think,
a load. I feel like that's probably a load of crap in any field,
yeah, it's a little different.
except for like the top tier, except for like the most elite who like will run in the same circles and will likely end up working together on some projects. I'm speaking broadly, like this doesn't have to be writing.
Yeah, I just mean like, you'll meet somebody at AWP, whether that be a representative, whether that be another author, whatever the person claims to be, and they'll
And it'll be
say,
your magical way in.
not even, dude, they'll pretend it is. That's the
Yeah.
thing, is that we pretend that they'll be like, oh yeah, 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 send me your manuscript, and then you send, and then nothing happened. Like, it's not like when somebody says that to you at an AWP conference, they don't actually mean send them your manuscript. Like,
Yeah.
they're just being nice. Like, they're just pretending
They
that
can mean it.
that's,
They just don't actually mean that they'll read it.
which is
Or maybe they
basically,
do think they mean that, and then they're always just like, nah.
well, that's
I
the
mean,
thing, yeah.
I'm not saying this like from experience. I'm just saying like from anything I've heard and from anything I can see as an outsider, it's like everyone who talks about, the cool things about going to AWP, it's like seeing old friends, going to readings, which is like fine. Occasionally there are good readings, but like often I find readings boring and I would rather just read your poems.
Yeah. Well, readings are boring because usually the people are boring. So, like, they just read from a piece of paper, and we all sit there and fall asleep. I think Sherman Alexie said something about that, and he might have gotten pilloried for it, where he was just like, readings are so boring. He's like, people can go, they can read your book. Like, they know what it's like in the pages. Like, they can read it. If they coming to see you read it, like, give them something. Read it.
Yeah.
Do an animated voice. Like, do something. Like, give a performance, because they can just read blandly at home. Like, they don't need to come see you do this. And everyone's like, well, I'm too embarrassed to do that, so I'm too ashamed of somebody judging my work, so Sherman Alexie's wrong. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, dude. Well, that's what I mean. So it's basically just a conference of people doing that. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm like, I don't know. I don't want it to like come off as being super bitter or like actually, granted, I am having not a great day and have been in a very bitchy mood.
Yeah.
But uh yeah, I just don't, I don't know. I've had too many, any encounter, like, I'm not convinced, like, that even in, a community that I could be part of, quote unquote community that I could be part of for like a couple of years and like not bond with a single one of the supposed mentors. So,
Well, it's because
you know,
mentorship doesn't really exist anymore in this field.
but
Maybe
yeah,
it's
what I
different if
mean
you
is
go,
writers don't really have much interest in lifting you up specifically unless like you're their friend or
well,
and
even
like
that, dude, doesn't matter anymore.
and I don't like that's like whatever like that's common, that's normal, that is just the way the world works in a lot of cases,
It,
and that's fine, but it's
let's
just
say,
like why am I gonna pretend that, why am I gonna like spend 100, probably up to like $500+ to get there.
well, this is my theory on it, is that that's how mentorship used to be, and it may still work this way. Maybe at some of the top 5 programs, you may still get some of this. But because the reward for writing is so much less than it used to be, meaning that, even if you didn't get accolades or any type of reward or like a award or something, if you published, but you could probably still get a job somewhere, with a book or two under your belt. But now we're at a point where your mentor actually views a student as competition because the resources are so scarce. So these mentors are literally competing with their students to get the prizes, the grants, the awards, like all this kind of stuff, the publications. Like there is no, oh man, this is a really good book. Let me send this to my agent and see what they think. Like that doesn't happen anymore outside of, I would imagine, the top five programs, if it even happens there anymore.